What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Gooner, a channel 100% dedicated to the Arsenal, who, as we all know, are by far the greatest team the world has ever seen. And in today's video, I'm going to be talking about two massive bits of transfer news to come out today. One really quite surprising, the other less so. But before I do that, I just wanted to get your thoughts and feedback on a question that has been bothering me. And that is, namely, Jacob Kiwior going down for our first goal against Brighton after a tackle from Ferguson, which took his boot off but didn't look that painful. Now, it seems like everybody's jumped in to criticise him in what you don't really see this a lot. Most players will make sure that the ball is out of play before they stop play to put a boot on. I haven't seen anything like this either, but he does stop hoping that VAR is going to rule or that he's going to get a foul. And he's been criticised for this massively by Patrick Vieira, by Gary Neville, Roy Keane, Jamie Carragher, and even Ian Wright. Now, my question to you is, he's come out and he's explained himself saying that he thought he'd been fouled. But if you can carry on playing, then, surely you do everything you can to prevent the kind of easy goal that Brighton scored first. And even by Kiwior's admission, took all the life out of the team and all the wind out of our sails. So my question to you is this the kind of red flag that would make you worry about him long term? Or is he a young player? He has got lots of international experience. He does have experience as, as a top flight professional in Serie A. Is this a red flag? Is this something that you already should start worrying about? Is he showing signs that he's not the kind of player that we need at the back? I know he's been talked about as a potential inverted fullback and can play as a left-sided centre-back. And we've seen him play as a right-sided centre-back without embarrassing himself. But this was the kind of incident which does raise kind of flag questions. I haven't seen anything as bad as this. And it's not what you expect from centre-back. So my question to you is, do you already think it's time to start looking around? I know we are linked with some centre-backs. I'm going to do a separate video on that. It's an important part of our team that we do need to strengthen, if not find first teamers for. And just quickly on that, I am confident that Saliba will be signing a contract extension. It just isn't announced yet. But I think that all the signs are that no one's really worried that he's not going to sign that contract extension. So, let me know in the comments how you feel about Jacob Kiwior and whether you're already a bit concerned about him. Now, moving on to the big transfer stories from today. And the first one, I have to say, did surprise me. But as sources go, it doesn't really get a lot better than Fabrizio Romano. So even though we're not in the transfer window, and this cannot be confirmed yet, it does appear that former captain Granit Xhaka will be leaving Arsenal this summer to Bayer Leverkusen, managed by Xabi Alonso. They want him to be part of a long-term contract. They've offered him a 4-year deal, which at 30 is not bad. And they are trying to build around him going forward. He is a great player, great engine, and he's box-to-box work. Look, he is somebody who's had the perfect story arc at Arsenal. I'm not the only one. I'm sure, if we're all honest, we all thought we'd seen the last of him and didn't want to see him in an Arsenal shirt again. For that kind of renaissance that he's had, and really has been a pivotal part of our fantastic season and played almost every game and never let us down. It is sad that he won't be part of the Champions League success he's helped bring to the Arsenal. And I did a video on this a little while ago where I said I'd actually rather see Thomas Partey leave. That is true. I think Thomas Partey, for me, is less of a character around Arsenal. And I think he's started to his form has been terrible. Perhaps that can be addressed. But I think it's a mentality issue. Without taking up too much time talking about this, this seems to be coming from the fact that Arsenal have yet to sit down and even begin to talk about a potential extension of his contract, which has one more year to run this summer. And it is said that they are quite keen to take him off the wage bill and get in the 15 million they might do, because of the next story. And the next story is that following the Brighton game, Josh Kroenke spoken to Gaspar and Mikel Arteta about releasing the funds that would make it possible for us to sign not only Declan Rice, but actually also Moises Caicedo. Now, I've been talking about this quite a lot. Absolutely think that we need both of them, particularly if Granit Xhaka is leaving. I did a poll on the Facebook page, which was pretty firmly in favour of Declan Rice, but a number of you were saying both. Now, just for the record, if you get to a poll where it says, would you have Rice or Caicedo, you can't answer both. But it actually turns out that that's probably the right answer now. So well done for being so insightful. Of course, we want both of these players. And if there's any way we can sign both of them for around 170 million that's being speculated, I, for one, would love to see that. We know enough about Declan Rice. I've done a whole video about it. I've done a couple of videos about him coming. I think it's one of the worst kept secrets in football that he's keen to join Arsenal. I don't buy all this speculation linking him to Manchester United. I don't think that Man City are going after him. And Man City are not involving themselves in these transfer rumours and problems at the moment until they get past their semi-final against Real Madrid and then probably on to the final. So I do think that Declan Rice wants to come to Arsenal, wants to play Champions League football, and we have apparently tabled a bid for 90 million for him. And look, it's well known that we tabled a bid of 70 million for Moises Caicedo in January. Clearly, it's not something not business that Brighton wanted to do in January, and that's making sense now when you think how poised Brighton are for a season in Europe, which I think is more than deserved. And I'm really pleased for them. I'm going to use my language. I'm going to be very diplomatic with the language I used. We all saw Moises Caicedo nullifying the threat from Martinelli. The Arsenal players, it's been reported he's going to have a bit of a frosty welcome after what he did to Martinelli. And Martinelli was pictured after the game wearing a boot. So hopefully it's not too serious, but that's never a good thing to see. And having your player injured off by another player who's planning to come to the team. Look, I think the reality here is he's a winner, he's a competitor, and he no quarter asked and none given, and I think that'll help him to fit in really well. But he was playing at right back, so his versatility is a huge asset for us, and certainly I would like to see us sign Cancelo so we have cover in both. But if you have players like Ben White, Caicedo, and Cancelo fighting out for places alongside Tomiyasu, that's got to be good for us, and that gives us a kind of depth. We're going to have to be canny about how we sign players that can play in multiple positions, and Moises has been doing that to great effect in recent weeks. So the news today is that we are after both. Now, it was speculated, since we offered 70 million for him and it wasn't accepted in January, you might be thinking, well, certainly Paul Barber had said that he thinks that wouldn't pay for half of Moises Caicedo. Presumably they think they're getting 140. That's not realistic. He's not worth more than Jude Bellingham. At 21, he is a fantastic prospect. And I do hope there is a lot of truth to the fact that Josh Kroenke is going to bankroll this, because frankly, this is the kind of business that Arsenal need to do if they're going to kick on and push on. Now, Roy Keane was first to say that he felt that there would probably be lots of clauses in Caicedo's newly signed contract. He did re-sign a contract after not moving in January. But Caicedo's agent, as well as Paul Barber, Brighton's CEO, have both come out and said neither McAllister or Caicedo have any special terms in their contract allowing them to leave. But I think it's clear that Brighton are looking at both of those as exits this summer. And I think what they did in January is very sensible, making sure they get European place because now they have more money and they will be recouping a huge amount. Remember, they only spent £2.5 million on Caicedo. And right up until he renegotiated his contract after our interest, he was only earning £5,000 a week. So they've done spectacular business. Brighton are a club which, you know, they do spectacular business, but Caicedo's leaving. I think that's a given, and I think he's coming to Arsenal. So the big news today is that we will be getting both Declan Rice, for whom we've tabled a 90 million offer, and Moises Caicedo, which will roughly be about 80 million, we think. And I, for one, really welcome that. Let me know in the comments if you think there's anything wrong with signing both of them. Given the polls I've done so far and what I've heard from you so far, I don't think anyone would hate to see that. And it's definitely a step in the right direction for us. The final bit of news I just wanted to look at today was the decision by Folarin Balogun to represent the United States men's national team. He has apparently FIFA confirmed that they have received a request to change his nationality. He was born in New York. He has every right to make this decision. I think he made it a bit early. Given the great season he's had, if he builds on that, if he stays at Arsenal or if he goes, and we don't know that yet, but it is mooted that Arsenal are looking to take 30 million for that, possibly to augment the transfer funds they're going to need to buy in players. I don't know who you sign as a forward. I'm going to do a separate video on that. There's the kind of players we're being linked with don't overly excite me. I know that some of you will really want to see Vlahovic come, if for no other reason than he's been talked about as much as he had, but he hasn't really set the world on fire for me at Juventus. So we'll do a separate video on that. But following Balogun has now decided to not represent. Look, we know that he was in the States during the international break. We know that they are able to offer him, look, if you're a successful striker in the US national team with the interest around it at the moment, it's so much endorsement money you're going to get from sponsorship. You're going to be the face of that team. I can see why he's made that decision. I don't watch enough international football to care. I wish him all the best. And as I said, we'll talk a bit more about whether he's going or staying. And just before I go, I really wanted to say a massive thank you to everyone who's left comments, for a new channel. One of the joys I have is seeing the comments come in, and some of them are absolutely brilliant. On the Zinchenko video I did, I just wanted to say, Andrew Philippa Chalky 9591, I love your comments. But I did a conspiracy-minded piece about Zinchenko, saying that I thought he might have fallen out with Arteta, and I love this comment. If Zinchenko were on a train in a Hitchcock movie, he'd disappear. Zinchenko to replace Xhaka if injured. Tierney not to be sold, please. I think I feel a bit differently about it. I think we all got a chance to see that Tierney is not necessarily the saviour of the team. And when he played on Sunday, he wasn't spectacular. And maybe this is the right time. I've done a video on Caicedo coming. I really hope that's the case. Nothing against Tierney. And I think he's a leadership type, but he may just be a little bit under where we are performing at the moment. Another comment that I absolutely loved, and I really want to say a massive thank you to Elliot E6124. He writes here, I'm a City fan and I love Zinny, always will. He wears his heart on his sleeve and he gets over emotional, and when he gets over emotional he kind of loses his head. The thing is, Zinny's always been a bad defender, but we had Dias covering for him, so it wasn't bad from an outsider view. Obviously I don't watch Arsenal week in, week out. You should. We're amazing. But when I do, but only when they're on TV. But if you look at City, Gooner is their captain, but Diaz controls the defence. You don't have to wear an armband to be a leader. Pep, who Mikel trained under, loves the idea of not having a set captain or leader. If you look at the previous captains at City, they've been players in the last years at the club. Like a goodbye, Diaz isn't even a vice captain, but he is a leader in the side, and many City fans see him as a captain every week at City before games. If you look, there will be a different person giving a group talk. I think Zinny has took that from his City days and tried to use it. That's the reason Odegaard and him have fallen out. That's ridiculous. I don't think they have fallen out. That was just pure speculation. I'm so grateful to this comment, and I just want to say, look, one of the things that I've realised watching Arsenal and City this season is that there are more leaders in the City team. There are more experienced heads. There are just more leaders in the Man City team, and there are more experienced heads all the way. If you're looking at Diaz and Stones at the back, I think Mahrez comes in and plays a kind of leadership role of sorts. Certainly Gundogan, Kevin De Bruyne. It is a team where mentality is everything, and I think we've seen that going on a 14-game winning streak, and potentially, much to my surprise, they may see out the season having just wins and really are the gold standard. Look, I'm old enough to remember going up against Kenny Dalglish's Liverpool, who were the indomitable force of the 80s, and beating them. Alex Ferguson's Man United and beating them. But when it comes to City, I don't think I've seen a better Premier League team. I think Kevin De Bruyne is one of the most fantastic footballers to watch. What do you say about the season Erling Haaland's had? And look, one of the things about being Arsenal fans is that we win with grace and we lose with grace. And I don't think there's any shame at all in losing to this City team. I personally, and I may not be speaking for other Arsenal fans or other fans in the country, I really hope that City go on and do the treble. I think that when it comes to building a team the right way, look, of course, they've spent a lot of money, but they haven't spent as much money as some other teams. They haven't spent as much money as Chelsea. They have gone about things the right way. I can't comment on financial fair play. And who knows, maybe we did win the league this season because Man City will be stripped. I personally hope that doesn't happen. I think that real City fans who have endured some of the hardest times a football fan can endure in being relegated and playing in front of handfuls of people against York and losing. That's not me trying to have a subtle dig at you all. What I am saying is that some of the best responses and conversations I've had over the recent weeks have been with City fans, and you guys know your football, and I think that you appreciate what you have. It is without question in my mind. I mean, also Liverpool fans, a massive load of love and respect to Liverpool fans who have totally empathised with what we've gone through this season, because they have done what in any other season through history would have made them winners and come second. It is a little bit like being Nadal in the age of Federer. It's just that we are finding ourselves up against it. And I truly hope that the Premier League fights back and that we are able to wrest the title from them next season. But Pep Guardiola's Man City of the last 6 years is a phenomenal force in football. So well done. Now, we have to focus on that, and we have to go and get players with the same kind of winning attitude and mentality. And I really hope that some of the things we've talked about in the transfer window so far are a step in the right direction for that. I do feel really confident about the future of this Arsenal project and process. And finally, I just wanted to read out one other really brilliant comment that I received. And I just want to say a massive thank you. Matthew Bota, 7845. And he says, great video. Lots I wanted to say. Don't think I'll have enough space to type. Nonsense. Type for ages. It's the internet. It's limitless. But just to comment on one point towards the end, those fans walking out of the stadium, I'll never understand that. Funny enough, on Friday, I was talking to someone at work about the exact thing. Besides sticking by your team despite losing hopelessly, I don't think those fans realise the privilege they have to watch Arsenal live at the Emirates. I live in South Africa and have been a Gooner for 25 years. I would absolutely love to watch them at least once at the Emirates, but the likelihood is slim. So to any supporters privileged enough to watch your club live at their stadium, cherish it, win or lose. I love this comment and I love what it represents. I love the fact that we have so many fans, so many die-hard fans around the world, wherever you are. We are united by a love of this club, and it's absolutely true to say that even in the UK, even in England, even in London, not everyone gets to go to an Arsenal match. Our capacity since leaving Highbury is 50% more, and I remember towards the end at Highbury how difficult it was for me to get tickets and how many people would have missed out if we'd stayed. Much as I love Highbury, and I know we all do, those of us who grew up there, but the Emirates at least offers us that. Now I want to say that the exodus on, from the game against Brighton, Ian Wright talked about this and he said that it can be the kind of thing that's really demoralising for players who we owe so much to this season. They have done so much, and for them to look up at the empty stands. I'm not excusing it. I've never left a match. Not true. I've left one match in my life early. It was when my uncle took me to a game in the early 80s and he wanted to get away because of where he'd parked and the traffic. Obviously, Central London is not good for traffic at the best of times when you've got 40,000 people trying to get home. But I have never left the game early since then, and there's been plenty of times I've wanted to. I feel like it's my duty, and I really think that what Matthew says here is absolutely spot on. It's a privilege, and it's only 90 minutes. You only get 90 minutes at a time to watch a football match, so to leave early, it doesn't make any sense. But I'm not trying to excuse the behaviour of people who leave early. Everybody's decision, and it's your choice. You pay your money, you make your choice. But if you're leaving a game early, I think Sunday, I kind of get it. I couldn't watch Arteta's interview after it. It was just a sad day. Watching Man City relentlessly roll over another team that I kind of secretly thought might have a chance of snatching a draw. I think it did affect the players that were watching before our game. And it was just a sad end to what has been a fantastic story arc. And sometimes you need a little bit of quiet time to process that. And maybe that's why they left. The Arsenal fans at the Emirates Stadium and those travelling away this season have been a huge and pivotal part of our success. It is in no way a criticism of them or anyone who, for traffic reasons, wants to leave a match early. But I love what Matthew's written here, because we do have to remember that there are fans. We have fans in North America, South America, Africa, Asia, Australia. We have fans all over the world who get up at silly times sometimes to watch matches. I know that's not a problem for you in South Africa, but we have, I've watched games in the Far East. I've watched games in the States, and I know what. Actually, also on that point, those fans in the US, you typically have it quite good because you get to watch things first in the morning. But I've been in Malaysia and Indonesia watching football matches at 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning, and I know how many of you ardently follow the game and how happy you are to see us do well, and how much I'm proud to be part of a global community of Gooners. The more the merrier. But please, do keep writing in your comments if they're as good as the ones I've read out, and there have been some brilliant ones. Apologies if I didn't get to you. I'm going to make this a regular feature, because as a channel just starting, I can tell you it really brightens up my day to get this kind of high level interaction. So massive love to all of you wherever you are. Be lucky, and lots of love.